Two people, the very same work history, the very same benefit earned over a lifetime. One of them files for Social Security at 62 and collects $1,400 a month. The other waits until 70 and collects $2,480 a month. Same person on paper, same earnings record, and yet one check is over $1,000 a month larger than the other, every single month for the rest of their life. That one decision, when to start, is very likely the single largest money choice you will ever make about your retirement. And most people make it almost blind. Today we're going to walk through the real math of claiming at 62 versus waiting until 70. Not the sales pitch version that tells you to always wait, and not the fear version that tells you to grab it before it's gone. The honest version, with the actual numbers, including the pieces that the online calculators quietly leave out, the pieces that in a lot of cases are the whole ball game. Because here's the truth, whether 62 or 70 is right for you is not the same answer for everybody. It depends on things about your life that no calculator knows. But you cannot make that call well until somebody actually lays the full picture in front of you. So that's what we're going to do. Here's what makes this so easy to get wrong. The Social Security Administration will process whatever you ask them for. If you walk in and say you want to start at 62, they'll set it up, and they will not sit you down and run the lifetime math against waiting. Nobody runs it for you. And the free calculators you'll find online will show you the monthly numbers, but most of them leave out the earnings test. They leave out how your check gets taxed, and they leave out the survivor benefit, which for a married couple is often the most important number in the entire decision. So people make a permanent, irreversible choice based on half the story. And stay with us all the way to the end, because the most important number in this whole thing isn't your own life expectancy at all. It's something most married couples never think about until it's far too late to fix, and it can matter more than everything else combined. We'll get there. If you're not subscribed yet, take 1 second and do that now and turn on the bell. We break down exactly these kinds of decisions, the ones that are permanent and that nobody at the government is going to walk you through, in plain English, before the mistake gets made instead of after. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the raw machinery, because you have to see the numbers clearly before any of the rest makes sense. Your benefit is built around something called your full retirement age. For anyone born in 1960 or later, that age is 67. If you were born between 1943 and 1954, it's 66. And for the birth years in between, it's 66 and some number of months. Your full retirement age is the point where you get 100% of the benefit you actually earned. No more and no less. Everything else is measured from there. If you claim before that age, your check is permanently reduced. Claim at 62 with a full retirement age of 67, and you lock in a 30% cut. You get 70% of your full benefit, and that reduced amount follows you for the rest of your life. It does not snap back up when you turn 67. It's permanent. Now go the other direction. If you wait past your full retirement age, you earn what are called delayed retirement credits, worth 8% for every year you hold off, all the way up to age 70. Wait from 67 to 70, and that's an extra 24% on top of your full benefit. You'd collect 124% of what you earned. Put real dollars on it. Say your full benefit at 67 would be $2,000 a month. Claim at 62, and you get $1,400. Claim at your full retirement age, you get the full $2,000. Wait until 70, and you get $2,480 a month. Look at the two ends of that. The person who waited until 70 is collecting about 77% more every month than the person who took it at 62. Same worker, same record. That gap is enormous, and it never closes. It compounds for the rest of their life. So the obvious question is, why on earth would anyone take the smaller check? And that's exactly where the honest math begins, because the bigger monthly number is not the whole story. This brings us to the second thing you have to understand, the break-even age. When you claim at 62, yes, your checks are smaller, but you're collecting them for 8 extra years before the person who waited until 70 gets a single dollar. That's a real head start. The person who waited has to catch up. The break-even age is the point where the total dollars collected by the person who waited finally passes the total collected by the person who started early. For claiming at 62 versus 70, that break-even lands right around age 80. Here's how to actually use that number. If you live well past 80, waiting until 70 puts more total money in your pocket over your lifetime, and the longer you live, the bigger that advantage gets. If you don't reach 80, claiming early came out ahead. So this decision, in large part, is a question about longevity, yours specifically. And we have to be honest and unemotional about that. According to Social Security's own figures, a man who is 65 today can expect, on average, to live to around 84, and a woman to around 87. And those are just averages. About 1 in 3 of today's 65-year-olds will live past 90. So for a lot of healthy people, the odds of clearing that age 80 break-even are actually pretty good. But if your health is genuinely poor or serious illness runs deep in your family, that math can tilt the other way in a hurry, and taking the money earlier can be the completely rational choice. Nobody knows your body and your family history better than you do. The point is to make this call with your eyes open, not to follow a rule someone shouted at you on the internet. Now the third piece, and this one traps people who claim early and then keep working. It's called the earnings test, and it catches a lot of folks completely off guard. If you start your benefit before your full retirement age and you're still earning a paycheck, Social Security limits how much you can make before they start holding back part of your check. For 2026, if you're under full retirement age for the whole year, that limit is $24,480, which works out to about $2,040 a month. Earn above that, and they withhold $1 of benefits for every $2 you go over. Let's make that concrete. Say you claimed at 63, you're collecting your check, and you take a part-time job that pays $34,000. That's about $10,000 over the limit. Social Security withholds $1 for every 2 over, so they hold back around $5,000 in benefits for the year. And in practice, they don't shave a little off each month. They typically stop your checks entirely at the start of the year until that $5,000 is covered, and then resume. Imagine expecting that deposit and watching it simply not arrive for a couple of months. That's the earnings test. Now here's the detail almost every video skips, and it matters enormously, so hear it clearly. That withheld money is not gone. It is not a penalty, and you did not lose it. When you reach your full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your benefit and credits you back for the months they withheld. Over time, you get it returned in the form of a higher monthly check. So the earnings test is not a reason to panic, but it is a very good reason not to claim early while you're still earning real money from work, because you may simply be starting your benefit only to have it clawed back for years when you could have just waited and let it grow instead. And one more thing on that limit. It only counts money you earn from working, wages, and self-employment. It does not count pension income, it does not count withdrawals from your retirement accounts, and it does not count interest, dividends, or investment gains. Only a paycheck. The fourth piece is taxes, because the check that lands in your account is not always the same as the check on paper. Depending on your total income, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit can be subject to federal income tax. So when you're comparing a smaller check now against a larger check later, part of what matters is how each one interacts with the rest of your income, your retirement account withdrawals, any pension, any part-time work. For some people, a very large Social Security check stacked on top of required retirement account withdrawals later in life can push more of their income into taxable territory. For others, delaying Social Security and drawing down their retirement accounts first, in the years before the bigger check kicks in, actually lowers their lifetime tax bill. There's no single right answer here, and this is genuinely one where sitting down with a tax professional or a fee-only advisor pays for itself. because it depends entirely on the specific mix of income in your household. We're not going to pretend it's simple, because it isn't. Just know that the sticker number on your benefit and the money you actually keep are two different things, and both belong in the comparison. The fifth piece is one that people delaying often worry about, and we want to put it to rest, because it's good news. A lot of folks are afraid that if they wait to claim, they'll miss out on the yearly cost of living increases, the COLA. That's simply not true. Your benefit is being adjusted for inflation every single year, whether you've claimed it yet or not. The delayed retirement credits and the cost of living adjustments both apply. So when you wait until 70, you're not just getting that 24% boost. You're getting it layered together with every annual increase along the way, and all of it is compounding on a larger base. A bigger starting check means every future percentage increase is a bigger dollar amount too. That difference quietly grows year after year for as long as you live. It's one of the most underappreciated reasons the delayed check pulls so far ahead for people who do live a long time. And now the sixth one, the one we told you to wait for. And for married couples, it can outweigh everything else we've talked about. It's the survivor benefit. Here's the mechanism nobody explains. When one spouse passes away, the survivor doesn't get to keep both Social Security checks. They keep the larger of the two, and the smaller one goes away, which means the higher earner's benefit is not really just for the higher earner. It becomes the amount the surviving spouse will live on, potentially for many years alone. And here's the part that makes claiming age so critical. When the higher earner delays and locks in that larger check, they are also locking in the largest possible survivor benefit for whoever outlives them. Think about what that means. If the higher earner in a couple claims early at 62 and takes that permanent 30% cut, they haven't just reduced their own check. They've permanently reduced the amount their widow or widower will have to live on after they're gone. If instead that higher earner waits and maximizes the benefit, they've left behind the biggest possible cushion for their spouse. And because wives, on average, outlive husbands, and often by several years, this decision very frequently determines how financially secure a woman is in the last chapter of her life. That is why, for a married couple, the smart move is often for the higher earner to delay as long as they reasonably can, even if the lower earner claims earlier. It stops being about your own personal break-even age and starts being about protecting the person you leave behind. That single idea is missing from almost every quick calculator, and it's often the most important factor of them all. So let's be fair and put the other side on the table just as plainly, because claiming early is absolutely the right move for some people, and we're not going to pretend otherwise. If you genuinely need the income now to cover your basic living expenses, taking it at 62 can be the correct and responsible choice. A smaller check you can actually live on beats a bigger one you couldn't survive long enough to reach. If your health is poor or your family history points to a shorter life, the early money can easily come out ahead. If claiming early lets you leave your retirement investments alone to keep growing or avoid taking on high-interest debt, that can tip the scales too. This was never about a rule that fits everyone. It's about knowing what each choice actually costs and actually buys, so the decision is yours and it's informed. Let's bring it all together. Claim at 62 and you lock in about 70% of your full benefit, permanently. Wait until 70 and you get about 124%, a check that's roughly 77% larger for life. The break-even between the two sits around age 80, so your honest read on your own longevity matters enormously. If you claim early and keep working, watch the earnings test, but remember that withheld money comes back to you later. Understand that taxes and the annual cost of living increases both shape the real value of each check over time. And above all, if you're married, remember that the higher earner's claiming age sets the survivor benefit, which may be the most important number in the whole decision. The best way to see your own figures is to open your My Social Security account and look at your estimated benefit at 62, at your full retirement age, and at 70, side by side. And if you want to talk it through with a person, you can reach Social Security at 1-800-772-1213. And for the tax side, a fee-only fiduciary who doesn't earn a commission is worth every penny. Here's the thought to leave you with. This is one of the very few financial decisions in your life that is almost completely permanent, and it's one of the few where simply understanding the math puts real money back in your hands, or in your spouse's hands, without you doing anything except waiting and knowing. The people who get this right aren't lucky, and they aren't rich. They're just the ones who saw the whole picture before they signed. Now you have. If this helped you see it clearly, do one thing for us. Send it to someone you love who's coming up on this decision. A spouse, a sibling, a friend who keeps saying they'll just take it at 62. Because this is exactly the kind of choice that's a lot easier to get right before it's made than to fix afterward. Subscribe so the next one reaches you in time, and we'll see you in the next one. This is the Retirement Wire.